Hello there everyone, and welcome to another edition of Lydia's Crafty Corner with me, Lydia, in my little crafty corner. So today I'm going to be sharing with you a fun technique that means that you can actually stamp using watercolor markers. It's a really cool technique, gives really varying results with each time you stamp it, and I think it's very, very beautiful. So to start with, I'm going to be using the halftone circles nesting die, and I'm going to be using 2 of these circles just to create a guideline for my stamping later on. So I've used a larger one and a smaller one in, and this gives me a thin circle so I can do all my stamping in there. So I'm starting with one of the flowers from Wildflower garden stamp set, and I'm colouring in the middle of it using some warm sunshine marker, and then I'm using the rubellite on the outside. Once I've coloured in all of the surface area of the stamp, I'm then going to move it out the way so I don't splatter anywhere, and I'm just going to take a mini misting tool and I'm just going to spray a couple of times to get that ink moving on the surface of that stamp, and then it's going to create a really fun yet beautiful watercolor look when you do stamp it into place. So as you can see, I'm just going to be using the same colours on the same image and stamp this around my wreath area. I do this 5 times just to create a odd number of the images, and I do love how this works. You could mix up the colours of the markers if you wanted to. I decided to stay with the same colour of the markers for the different flowers, and each one that I do stamp, I do clean and dry off the image in between. So for the smaller flower, I'm just going to use one colour, so I'm just going to be using the orange cream for this one. I'm colouring it in, adding a spritz, and then stamping it into place. You could actually stamp this off if you wanted a lighter colour and use the second generation of ink if you wanted to, just to create a lighter effect with it, but I do love how bright and vibrant these colours are. So again, I'm just going to go around with these, and I do end up stamping an odd number as well. So for this piece, this is a full leaf, and I just want the top part. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to use the limeade marker just to colour the part that I want, and then I'm going to dab in some of the moss colour to get a variant colour on this one. I'm going to spritz it, but then on the other ones I do dry the part of the image that I don't want to be wet. This stops it transferring onto the other flowers so much, so I do it in the ones after the one that I've just shown you. So I'm just going to spritz it again. You can see there that I've just dried the part of the image that I don't want, because this would be going over the other part of the image and it might blend and bleed into the flower, which I don't actually want. So I'm just going to keep going with these. Again, I'm drying off the stamp before I colour it in again for the next one. So I'm using the limeade, then the moss, a little bit of a spritz, dry the piece of the stamp that I don't want wet, and then pop it into place. And I'm just going to keep doing this again and again until I'm happy with the amount of leaves that are around my wreath. I could have added more if you wanted to. You could actually use the second generation of this ink as well, and it will give you more of a darker leaf and then a lighter one when you use the second generation, because there is still a lot of ink left on that stamp before I do clean it off. So next up, I'm going to be creating little lilac posies. So I'm just going to be using one of the images here, and I'm using part of the image, and I've coloured that in using the sea breeze marker, and then I'm using the midnight violet. Again, I'm just going to spritz and dry the part of the stamp that I don't want the colour to be on. And I'm going to keep stamping this in place. For these ones, I did use the second generation ink. So as you can see, one of the stems is lighter than the next one, so I do the one colour and then I stamp it again right next to it. So one of them's a little bit darker, and the one that's lighter does look as though it's behind the image. So I do love how the second generation works out, and you can see that it does work really, really well. So you could do this with all of the images if you wanted to. It doesn't have to just be the lilac. You could have done it with the leaves, you could have done it with the flowers, and it just gives a different element of difference to the rest of the flowers that are there. So I'm just going to keep going with this. Again, this is the sea breeze and the midnight violet, a little bit of a spritz, a little bit of a dry, some second generation stamping, and that's how I keep going with the lilac on this one. Once I've finished with my lilac images, I'm then going to move on to some more leaves. So I do a lot of these leaves, but it's not in the video. So I'm starting off with the limeade and then adding some detail in with the dusk. Again, I've coloured the image. I'm going to spritz a little, dry the stamp, and then pop them into place. I do this with the second generation as well, and I'm just going to fill in all the spaces that are left. Once it's all nice and dry, I'm then going to get rid of the pencil lines from before, and I'm just using a normal eraser to get rid of those. Then I'm just going to add in a simple sentiment. I'm using one from the Flourishing Zinnia Build-A-Flower set. So I'm just going to pop that into place, and I'm just going to use some of the permanent black ink just to pop that down. I did end up stamping it twice to give me a really bold, bright look. Once that's in place, I'm then going to add my panel to my card base. So this is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, and I'm just using my trusty Altenew tape pen to add that on. And then once that's all nicely in place and stuck down, the card is complete. I love how this turned out. I really, really, really love this. I love how bright and vibrant the markers are, and I love how well they stamp. I really do hope that you give this technique a go and that you did enjoy the video as well. Again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you do want to watch any more videos, we have a couple more here that you can watch at your own leisure. Again, if you don't want to miss out on any videos that we do upload to the channel, it'd be great if you do subscribe. Again and again and again, thank you so much for watching, everyone. I really do hope that you have a great day, and I'll see you again really, really soon. Bye-bye.